Let's give a shout out, everybody, my social media family, and or any visitors to my own personal chat room and our channel. And for the like I say, how you say, certain civil and or public servant officials, being whatsoever source or types who have committed themselves to putting forth that of the efforts to perform their duties to safeguard that the general welfare or to provide for what is in the better interest of the world's citizens or the global community for whatever country and our nation. And don't get me wrong, although this particular social media broadcast or video of mine is really to complement certain law enforcement officials, but then nevertheless, it can or could possibly be thought of as one that would celebrate also that of the contributions of other sorcerer types of public serving officials, likewise as well, are all the same. As in doctors and nurses, firefighters, and or etcetera. All right. As you know, most recently, 5 law enforcement officials or police officers or detectives or whatever I have said had gotten slain in the line of duty. No, they weren't protecting the president of the USA, but they may as well have been, for they were of that sort of type in particular to be possibly considered. No, not a Secret Service agents, but they were some of such similar to the likes, and whereas they was caught in an ambush for that what do they call it according to law enforcement, the law enforcement community of peace officers or whatever. I said there's something called, I don't know, what is it, funnel tunnel. No, that's not meant as a joke, and no disrespect meant to any slain police officers and the detectives of cartel members through any law enforcement community, with the exception of possibly dirty cops, but I had not meant it that way. Let me give you a definition of what funnel tunnel or tunnel funnel is, something like that. It's when police officers or detectives, they are approaching a suspect of a criminal, be it one of the usual suspects or one of the not so usual suspects, at some place of residence, be it of the suspect's own or that of a family member or friend of one's family. And whereas the law enforcement officials have quite a disadvantage, where they have to approach the door to a residence, and they don't know if the suspects behind suspect or suspects, depending on how many, be the suspect has accomplices in crime or not, criminal offenders. One doesn't or don't know whether or not the suspect could be behind that door, ready to shoot through the door, at any approaching law enforcement officials. And that is what's called funnel tunnel or tunnel funnel. And so 5 law enforcement officials had gotten slain as a result of developments of approaching a suspect at a place of residence before that suspect was dropped like a hot potato or taken down to safeguard or protect the general public, as members of the law enforcement community have taken an oath as they have sworn to do just that. So my hat goes off to any, or I salute you. Regardless of whether or not I myself am able to give a 21 gun salute in conjunction or accompanied by others, former or ex or prior military enlistment personnel and or peace officers or law enforcement officials of whatever source or types, because they had paid the ultimate sacrifice, and so we must celebrate the likes, being because they're there or wherever to protect us within the continental United States of America for our own supposed so-called democratic republic or democracy. I know that last may not have sound right, and I'm not discrediting any of the likes of some such others, but when I had said that, as I had done or did, because there are certain members of the law enforcement community who misrepresent their fellow civil public servants, those who have taken an oath and have sworn to protect the American general public, or wherever law enforcement officials can or could possibly be found doing just that, as likewise citizens of the global community. And where certain law enforcement officials, they misrepresent their fellow law enforcement officials or officers, as they misuse and abuse that of the privileges of their police powers of authority, like how one police officer, and think he was more than just a police deputy, but a police sergeant or something of that nature, was found to have stored upon a computer or within his place of residence quite a bit of an amount of kiddie porn, whereas he had been employed with a law enforcement department to research some of such matters of the likes of criminal offenders of that nature. And here it is that he had come off like some sort of such type himself. That's really a discredit to any law enforcement community, citywide, statewide, nationwide, and or worldwide, for a police officer who has sworn to serve and protect the general public to be caught with some sort of such a type of kiddie porn in one's possession, and doing something other with it. I said, and doing something other with it than what one is supposed to be doing with it, being of which is to try to track down any pedophiles, be they Catholic priests of the gay persuasion or whosoever, or whatever sort or type of the likes to be possibly considered, who scope, stalk, and vamp or prey upon much rather than to think to prey with their child victims. And as they would be of the likes of those being of whom are, in other words, called sexual predators, who are not only going after Little Red Riding Hood, but going after her mom and her grandma for that matter. And that's including going after little Tommy Tucker and Tiny Tim and Little Boy Blue, etc. Anyway, though, get back to something other. So, excuse me, I give a thumbs up to the 5 slain law enforcement officials in question who had paid that being the ultimate sacrifice for that assignment us to give them moment time. Being that because they were to be held as heroes, and that's what they were. It was. And not to compliment that being a corn phrase or saying a hero ain't nothing but a sandwich. I mean, that's the job that they had thought to sign up for, and they carried it out to the best of their ability. So we should give congrats or congratulate them whenever possible, whenever the opportunity arises, whenever we are available to do so. And this is regardless of this here present existence of the global community, being as it is a pandemic worldwide. Yeah. But then it causes me great pains to hear that there are certain criminals out there that are shooting bullets. I say shooting bullets at firefighters. Now, why would you want to go and do a crazy thing like that? Shoot bullets at firefighters in the line of performing their duties. I mean, in the process of performing their duties, you want to put them in the line of fire for criminal assault. That just don't make any sense. They're out there trying to save lives to prevent other people or persons or fellow American citizens and or foreigners alike from being burned up in a burning building. You want to shoot at firefighters? You know what I'm saying? I mean, criminals like that, they need to be given capital punishment, you know? You know what I'm saying? They need to be or either capital punishment, or they need to be given a life sentence in prison, in a penitentiary, with no alternative options available for parole. And because you just don't do something so crazy as that, you know? I mean, if you were to go to court on that and you be in one of them hangman state where there's a hangman judge, you better eat some major humble pie, and you better hope that you have an alibi or a good legal argument otherwise coming from a good lawyer. I'm not talking about some damn public defender. That's a public defender is a lawyer attorney for one, kind of case that's not so, I say, high profile. Whereas you need a real attorney or lawyer for something else. You understand what I'm saying? If it really comes down to push comes to shove and you being sent up crap creek, in a boat with a hole in it and without a paddle, man. I mean, to be shooting at firefighters, that just don't make any sense. You got to go into that courtroom and act crazier than I don't know what, be you crazy or not. You got to go in there and likewise be acting drunk or high, so that the jury, as well as whatever lawyers or judges trying your case, be like saying, "Wow, this person is off one's rocker. This person is completely gone to another planet. Send this person to a psych ward until he or she, depending on one's gender, becomes competent for a trial. Otherwise, without a doubt, you're gonna be like down. You're gonna go somewhere else. You're gonna be down for the count. You ain't got a prayer. Because the average jury, as well as the average judge and prosecutor, is going to look at a character like that and say, "What in the world? Have you lost your raving mind? You just don't do that kind of weird stuff. I mean, shooting at a firefighter and he or she is out here trying to protect lives, trying to save some of such lives, as well as protect some of such from blazing flames of fire, especially with the weather temps being as it is at the moment. With it being something like 20 or 30 degrees below zero for this here winter season. I'm not saying this has happened most recently, but then it wasn't that long ago when somebody took 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 pock shots, had fired off quite a few rounds, a couple few rounds at firefighters in progress of performing their firefighters' duties to save and protect lives. That just don't make any sense. Whereas if I were there at some such given moment in time, and I see a character attempting to shoot at firefighters, I would try to sneak up on that Joe with a 2x4 and knock him the F out. Because I'd be like, that is crazy as damn hell. You don't shoot at firefighters trying to put out a fire. That just don't make any damn sense. And speaking upon other matter, not that, I want to stray from the original topic of discussion. And whereas a character like that would remind me of a neighbor from hell faggot, like what I have for myself as of the present given on time. This crazy MF, he's always making with his bam bam rubbles routine daily and nightly. Like he done lost his damn rabid ass mind. And anytime I get about to get on an electronic device, he want to start up with his bam bam rubbles routine of making extreme excessive noises, like he himself is attempting to throw a monkey wrench in the program or the plan at hand, because he's a crazy MF or a cocksucker. You know, the devil is a liar. And with his faggoty or homoish, stupid and sick psychopath, sociopath, sadomasochist, sadist, cowardly, bullying, or terrorist, want to be poop butt, pissant, poor excuse of a man, sorry, sad, miserable self. You know, then want to be complimenting some or such, or want to complicate matters that much more, or compound the problem by attempting to bar with my apartment door. Real crazy effing idiot, you know. But then stupid does as stupid feels. He's a real sicko, as well as a stupid little dumb call. Getting back to some such other, and not that I'm gonna let some such character as that being a sort of type rain on my parade of trying to think of it with a mind's intention to get more peace of mind for myself, and all while knowing that misery loves company as the likes of his kind does, being a dime a dozen, whatever, social rejects for any given society, even for a dictatorship, not to mention for a supposed so-called democratic public democracy as we have it for our own USA or United States of America. I say supposed or so-called, being that because more and more I get to thinking that the USA is becoming more and more like just one big oil well, or as I suspect it to be some or such, that is one big oil well companies. What I mean say is what I'm trying to say. One big oil well business company with its own private police and military force, whereas it don't really care about the rights and privileges of some or such others compared to more like the well-to-do and or the filthy rich, whereas it would only think to really fulfill its principles that is complementing our own U.S. Constitution to serve and protect or to ensure the rights and privileges of the general public, according to that on a city, state, national, or federal level, if that of any criminal activities could possibly cross on over and across the border, from the much more poverty-stricken and crime-ridden vicinity area neighborhood communities into that the well-to-do and rich vicinity area neighborhood communities. I've been noticing that, more and more each each year that comes along, you know, but I'm still willing to give our own supposed so-called democratic republic of democracy the benefit of the doubt that it can live up to our own U.S. or American constitutions upon a city, state, and national or federal level. But then getting back to the original topic of discussion. And so I salute whatsoever slain, public serving officials, not that doctors, nurses, or firefighters or any less to be considered, be compared onto police officials. But this particular social media broadcast or video is in regard or in reference to those being of whom are among themselves of the last mention. You know. And so I give you a thumbs up. And then on this last note of interest, I would like to say, you know, to any of my social media family and to any visitors to my own personal chat room. If you have not accepted Christ as your personal Lord and Savior, I will hope that you would think to do so now. My blood is run warm in veins to recognize what he did on the cross of Calvary so you can go to heaven once you were to make that transition for the great beyond, then have to worry about ending up in the lake of fire, damn hell. And even so, be blessed down here upon the planet Earth while you still have time. You all take care and be safe. Peace and love, joy and happiness. Peace.